Hey everyone! So today we're going to be making Mystery Saja. I really hope you enjoy this one. This one's a really cool one to make. Super easy. Even beginners can do this if you've got a little bit of background in crochet. So let us get straight into making our Mystery Saja Boy. For the materials, you're going to need the following. So you'll need some 4-ply cotton yarn in the colors purple, bright pink, light gray, yellow, kind of like a light denim blue, and a flesh pink. So that is 4-ply cotton yarn. Then you're also going to be needing a 1.9mm hook, as you can see here, but feel free to use anywhere between a 1.75 and a 3mm hook. If you're used to your own yarns, yarn type and hook, feel free to use that as well, because these patterns are universal. Then you'll also need like a sewing tapestry, or in my case, a leather needle. I love these leather needles. They're just so easy to work with. They weave very seamlessly throughout the stitches, so I'm using this leather needle here. Then you'll need a pair of cutters. You'll need some fiber filling. You may need some pins if you have some. I actually don't have any because I gave them away. I'll have to buy some new ones, but feel free to use some pins to kind of pin in the hair as you go along. It does make it a little bit easier to work with. And then of course you will also need some 6 or 7mm black safety eyes, which is what I have here. I think these ones are 6mm. Okay, so we are ready to get straight into making this Mystery Saja Boy, so let us do that right now. Okay, so let's start out with using this denim colored yarn. This is a lighter denim, so we're going to use this. And we're going to start by making a magic ring. So if you don't know how to make a magic ring, go check out my beginner tutorial playlist for crochet. It's got a lot of basic techniques that you can master first and then come back here and make any one of my tutorials. So once you have your magic ring, we are going to now start crocheting single crochet stitches. We'll make a total of 6, but before we make the first single crochet stitch, I just want to teach you something that I want you to apply throughout, and this is the type of single crochet stitch that you want to be doing. We are going to have the hook come through the magic ring, and then it's going to go over the yarn, or in other words, the yarn is coming underneath the hook and you're pulling it through, and then your yarn goes over the hook this time and you pull it through those last 2 loops on the hook. So in other words, this is yarn under and then yarn over. A lot of beginners start with yarn over, and I just don't quite recommend that for amigurumi type plushies. So if you can do yarn under like me, yarn under, then yarn over, or yarn under and yarn under again, that will produce some beautiful looking stitches for you that are a little bit tighter, and it just gives that amigurumi finish that you've probably all seen. So you're going to be making 6 of these. So this is number 4 now, this is number 5, this is number 6. And as I'm doing these stitches as well, one last technique that I want you to apply is, instead of pulling the yarn to your right or your left, depending on what crochet hand you use. So I'm a right-hander, so I'm pulling it to the right. Instead of doing that, I'm going to pull and move my hook so that it goes in a vertical position, and then it pulls up vertically, and that will help keep your stitches straight and aligned throughout. Okay, so once you've made those 6 single crochet stitches, you're going to grab the yarn tail, you're going to give it a little tug or a pull until you've closed that magic ring. And then from here, you can either, if you have a stitch marker or a piece of cotton yarn or something you can use as a stitch marker, you can crochet in a spiral. And that just means basically you put in your stitch marker on the first stitch of the next round that you create, and you're just continuously crocheting. You won't finish with a slip stitch and a chain 1. Completely up to you. In this tutorial, I'm going to finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. Adjust the stitches where you need to if your stitches aren't aligned anymore. So just feel free to adjust those stitches, especially for the feet and the arms. That's probably all you'll need to do. And other than that, let's continue on now. So I think those are like the main things that you need to know. So let's finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. And now we are up to round number 2. For round number 2 now, we need to make increases in every stitch space. So as you can see here, here is my first single crochet stitch, and then I'm working straight back into that stitch space and making my second single crochet stitch, and we call that an increase by default. So let's make another increase in this next stitch space, which just means, in other words, 2 single crochet stitches in that stitch space. Let's make it for the third time, 1 and 2. Remember pulling your yarn up as best as you can remember. Here's the fourth one, 1 and 2. The fifth one, 1, 2, and finally the sixth increase, 1 and 2. And now we have 12 stitches. At the completion of round 2, we're coming into the very first stitch space, making a slip stitch and chain 1. Remember, crochet in a spiral if that's what you're used to as well. We are up to round number 3 here. So for round number 3, all we are going to do is the following. We are going to start with a single crochet stitch, and then in the next stitch space we will make an increase, 1 and 2. So you see that we just did a single crochet stitch first and then an increase, and we will repeat that pattern, single followed by increase, all the way around until you have 18 stitches at the end of round 3. So I'm going to let you guys do that now. Finish with your slip stitch or chain 1, or move that stitch marker wherever you are. We are now up to the 4th round, and this round is a little bit different, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to do this a little bit slower as well. So just start off with your 5 single crochet stitches. This is number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5, but don't finish the 5th stitch. Grab some purple colored yarn. So here's my purple colored yarn. I'm just going to untangle it a little bit here so I can find the end. So here it is, got my purple colored yarn, and then we're going to just weave that purple colored yarn through those 2 loops on the hook, as you can see there. So we've just changed the color now to purple. Grab your 2 ends over here, so that's your denim blue and your light and your purple, and what we're going to do is we're not going to come in this next stitch space right here. Instead, we're going to work lower down, 1 stitch space down, and this is what you call a spike. When you come down lower, it's called a spike, but we are going to make a spike bubble stitch, if that makes sense. So I'll show you how to do that. You want to first wrap the yarn over the hook, come into that spike section, have those 2 yarn tails over the hook. That's just to weave them in and keep it secure. Then you're going to pull the yarn up, and you do want to lift it up so it reaches the height of these 2, and then you pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook, and that leaves you with 2 loops on the hook at the end there. And you want to do that again, so wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through, and then pull the yarn through 2. So we've got 3 loops on the hook, and we'll do it one more time. Wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through, then pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook, and it leaves you with 4 loops on the hook. And this is where we change our yarn color back to your denim blue and weave that denim blue through all 4 stitches on the hook. And that there, guys, is your first spike bubble stitch. Well done. So what we'll do from this point onwards is we'll just have the purple yarn come on top of the hook for the next stitch, and in denim blue we'll make 5 single crochet stitches. So that's 2, here's number 3, here's number 4, and here is number 5. But on the 5th one, we're going to change back to our purple colored yarn and get ready to make your second foot. So here we go. We're going to wrap the yarn here, come into the spike section down here. Then we can also have that blue denim colored yarn on top of the hook to weave it in there, keep it secure, pull it up, pull through 2, wrap yarn, come through, pull up and pull through 2. I'm going a little bit faster this time. Wrap the yarn, pull it up and pull through 2, and there we go. We've got 4 loops on the hook. Grab your denim blue colored yarn and weave that through all 4 loops on the hook. There you go. That's the second foot. And then you should be left with a total of 6 single crochet stitches in the end, and have that purple yarn woven on top of the hook as you go for maybe the first 1 or 2 stitches. I only did it for 1 there. And you can see this is my 3rd single crochet stitch. Here's my 4th, my 5th, and number 6 right here. Perfect. So now I'm going to come into the very first single crochet space and make a slip stitch and chain 1. For the 5th round now, we're just going to make 18 single crochet stitches. So that's 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch space for the entire round, and that will leave you with 18 single crochet stitches for round number 5. And on that 18th single crochet stitch, we're going to change the yarn color, and we'll do that together. So come back at that 18th single crochet stitch. And here we are. So this is round number 5, 18th single crochet stitch. We're grabbing some yellow colored yarn at this point. Leave a little bit of a yarn tail, weave that yellow through those 2 loops on the hook, come inside your very first stitch space that you made in that round, grab those 2 yarn tails, have them over the hook, pull this a little bit tighter so that the slip stitch is not too big, and then just make the slip stitch and chain 1. There you go. So now we are ready for round number 6. And in round number 6, for this one, you're going to be working in the back loops only. So not the front and back loops, just the back loops. And you'll just be making single crochet stitches all the way around. So remember, you're working in those back loops, and you'll do that 18 times for 18 total stitches for round number 6. We are now up to round number 7, and for round number 7, we're just working 18 single crochet stitches all the way around in both those front and back loops. So no special thing here, it's just 18 single crochet stitches. And remember, keep that hook pointed in a vertical direction as you weave in those stitches. And not weave in those stitches, but finish that single crochet stitch. All right, I'll let you guys finish round number 7. I'm up to stitch number 18 on round number 7, and I didn't complete this 18th stitch because we're going to change the yarn color back to purple. So just make sure you've got enough space here to line it up so that this is not too tight, and then pull that purple yarn through. Come here in that first stitch of the round, have the yellow yarn on top of the hook just so you can weave it in there. Make your slip stitch and chain 1. And for the next 2 rounds, super easy, you're just going to be using purple colored yarn and making 18 single crochet stitches. So that's a total of 2 rounds, 18 single crochet stitches. So that's rounds 8 and 9. Keep that hook vertical, guys, as you complete your single crochet stitches, and that just helps keep the alignment straight. Okay, I'll let you do that, and we'll come back for round 10 together. Alright, so we've just finished round number 9, we're up to round number 10 here, and round number 10 does involve a few little color changes plus some spike bobble stitches, so it's probably the most difficult round so far, but it's really not that hard. So let's do it together. Let's start off with 4 single crochet stitches in purple, and you may need to adjust this if you are working in a spiral. So I'm going to work 4 single crochet stitches, and before the completion of this 4th stitch, I'm going to change my yarn color to flesh pink, because of course we want our arms in flesh pink colored yarn. So let's grab some flesh pink colored yarn here, and we are going to weave the flesh pink yellow yarn through those 2 loops on the hook. Grab your purple and flesh pink tails here, and let's start making a spike bobble stitch. So we don't come here, we come further down below right here. Have these 2 yarn tails on top of the hook as you do that. Pull it up, pull through. Wrap the yarn, pull up and pull through. And again, wrap the yarn, pull up and pull through. So we've got 4 loops now on the hook. Then from this point, we're going to weave or pull that purple colored yarn through those 4 loops on the hook, and we're ready for the next stitch. And for the next stitch, you just want that flesh pink yarn color over the hook so that you can keep it secure in place. So let's just do one of those. So here's your single crochet stitch in purple. We're going to make another 1 and 1 more purple stitch. So that's a total of 3 single crochet stitches in purple, and it's at this point here where we're going to change our yarn color to yellow. So grab your yellow colored yarn, weave it through those 2 loops on the hook, and then in this next stitch you're coming only into the back loop, just the back loop. Pull it through, grab your purple colored yarn, and weave now this through those 2 loops on the hook. So there we go, we've got a nice little yellow stitch right here worked in the back loop, and that kind of gives the illusion that we've got the shirt coming through the vest. So let us continue now. We're coming into this next stitch space. We'll have the yellow colored yarn on top of the hook to keep it nicely secured there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's make another 2 purple stitches. So this is coming up to be the 6th, number 6 right there, and here is the 7th. And when you get to the 7th, you're going to grab your flesh pink colored yarn. It can be a little bit daunting with all these yarn tails here, but you should be fine. Just give yourself enough space. So weave that through, and now you're up to the next spike bubble stitch. So let us work that now. Wrap the yarn. You don't come here, but you come further down, right there. Pull the yarn up, pull the yarn through. Wrap the yarn, and as you're doing this, you can make sure to have the purple yarn on top of the hook. I don't have it at this point, but it should be secure enough anyway, so I'll leave it. We've got 4 loops on the hook right here. We're grabbing our purple colored yarn, and we pull that through those 4 loops on the hook. And then for the remaining stitches, 1, 2, here's the 3rd, and I'm going to have the flesh pink colored yarn on top. That's the 3rd, here's the 4th, and finally the 5th right here. Excellent job, guys. You just finished probably the hardest round number 10 in the entire pattern. So there we go, this is what it's looking like. We've got our 2 arms, we've got our feet, we've got this section right here. It's looking fantastic. Okay, so now we are up to round number 11, and round number 11 is where we are introducing decreases. So let us work this together. We're going to start with a single crochet stitch, followed by an invisible decrease. And an invisible decrease is where the hook comes through the front loop of the next stitch, and then the front loop again of the adjacent stitch. So that's just the next 2 stitches are working in those front loops only. Front loop, then you pull the yarn through those 2 front loops and pull the yarn through the 2 loops on the hook. And you can see how we made these 2 stitches here into 1. So we call that a decrease, but specifically we call it an invisible decrease. You might have learned something new today, so that's awesome. Okay, so we're doing it again. Single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease. And here we're going to change our yarn color to yellow. So let's grab our yellow yarn color. Let's make sure we have enough of that yarn tail over here, and then we weave this through. Pull that purple yarn. There we go. And now we're going to work in the first back loop. So the next stitch will be just in the back loop. So back loop first, just like that. And here we do have to work in the front loops because it is difficult to work in the back loops with an invisible decrease. Or if you wanted to, which I can show you right here, we can do something else, and it's called a single crochet 2 together, but in the back loops only. So this is what we're doing. So you come in the first purple stitch back loop, pull up some yellow colored yarn, and this time we're not going to go in the back loop of this yellow stitch because we already did that before. So we'll come in the front and back loops and pull up another loop. And then we pull the yarn through those 3 loops on the hook. It is still a decrease, but it's a different type of decrease. And we'll do it one more time. Single crochet, stitch first, back loop only. And here we're going to work in the back loops of the next 2 stitches to make a single crochet 2 together. So I just pulled up a loop. I'll come into this next back loop, pull up another loop. And here I'm going to change my yarn color to purple. Make sure I have enough length here and pull this through those loops. I feel like I'm getting a little bit tangled up here, which I think I did, so I'm going to just do that again. There we go, nice and easy. And then the rest of it will just be the single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease, front loop, pull and pull through 2, and we're up to the last one here. Single crochet stitch followed by an invisible decrease, front loop, pull the yarn through, and just before you pull the yarn through again, we are changing to our flesh pink colored yarn because we are up to the head portion. So we'll pull that through, come into this very first stitch of the round, have the purple over the hook to weave it in, make the slip stitch, and chain 1. Now with these other yarn colors now, we can leave a bit of a tail and just give it a cut. So we can get rid of that right there. Then you can push these through into the body just to hide it so that they don't get caught up in your hook in your next couple of stitches. And now we are up to round number 12. So for round number 12, we are doing the following. We are only working in the back loops again of this round. So we want to make a single crochet stitch first in the back loop, followed by a back loop increase, 1 and 2. Let's do it again. Single crochet stitch first, followed by back loop only increase. So remember, back loops only for this entire round. You're just working single increase 6 times total, and you'll have 18 stitches at the completion of this round. For round number 12, we will do the following: single crochet stitch, another single crochet stitch, followed by an increase. So that's 2 single crochet stitches and then an increase. Let's do it again. 1, 2, and then an increase. 1 and 2. So I'm going to get you to complete that now. For round number 13, you will have 24 stitches at the completion of this round. For the next 4 rounds now, so that's rounds 14, 15, 16, and 17, you're just going to make 24 single crochet stitches. So that's rounds 14 all the way to round 17, making total of 24 stitches in each round. So let's come back at the end, or the completion of round number 17, to begin round number 18 together. Okay, so we're up to round number 18 now, and for round number 18 we are going to do the following: single crochet stitch again, followed by an invisible decrease. Remember that invisible decrease was coming through those first 2 stitches, but the front loops only, consecutively. Pull through and pull through. So let's do it again together. 1 single crochet stitch, the second single crochet stitch, followed by an invisible decrease. Repeat that another 4 times, and then finish with a slip stitch and chain 1, or move that stitch marker, and then we'll get up to round number 19 together. We are now ready for round number 19, and for round number 19 I'm going to continue, but if you want to jump ahead and add the stuffing and the eyes, feel free to do that. I'm going to do that at the end of round 19, but if you feel like round 19 makes it too small and you can't fit things in, add the stuffing now, like up to the body, and then add the eyes, then continue with round number 19, add more stuffing. But I'm going to do round 19 first. So for round 19, we're making a single crochet stitch followed by an invisible decrease, and we just repeat that 5 times more. So here is the invisible decrease. For the second time, we have it to repeat it another 4 times, and then we'll finish round number 19. I've just finished round number 19 here, and I'm going to chain 1. And if you haven't chained 1, that's fine. If you're working in a spiral, just pull the yarn a little bit outward so that you don't unravel it accidentally as you're putting in your fiber fillings. And I actually just realized that Mystery doesn't have eyes because you cover those eyes with the hair, so no eyes. So at this point, we're just going to add your fiber filling. So add it layer by layer. So I'm adding little bits by little bits, and I'm going to push it in there with a pair of cutters. And this just helps to really condense it at the bottom and throughout, so you don't have too many air pockets as well as you go throughout. So remember, it's layer by layer, guys. You don't want to shove it all in at once, otherwise you're going to have a lot of uneven spread and some air pockets throughout. So I'll let you guys do that layer by layer. Use a pair of cutters to really push it in there, and once you reach the top, we will continue with the final round. And we have just filled our mystery body up with fiber filling. We're looking great here, and we're up to the final round, guys. This is exciting. So for the final round, it's super simple. If you've worked in a spiral, you're going to make 5 invisible decreases and then finish with a slip stitch. But if you've worked with a slip stitch and chain 1, you're going to follow me. We're going to make 6 invisible decreases. Remember that invisible decreases just means you're working through those front loops. So front loop, pull the yarn through, pull the yarn through. That's our second invisible decrease. Here's the third, front, pull through. Here's the fourth, front loop, pull through, pull through. Here is the fifth, front loop, pull through and pull through. And one more time, this is the 6th one. So if you were the spiral, you're just making a slip stitch in this next one. If not, you are making the next invisible decrease. And for my guys who did the slip stitch chain 1, you're also going to finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. If you finish with that slip stitch for a spiral, leave it as is and just pull the yarn through. Give yourselves about 15 centimeters worth of a yarn tail and cut the yarn to finish it off. So you've got your yarn tail, you've got a little hole at the top, which is all completely fine. We're going to close that together very soon, and you have the body. So let us close this top section here together. So I'm just using my needle here, and I'm weaving this yarn through just a little bit, and then through each of your remaining stitches around the top here. For me, I have 6. For those who worked in a spiral, you will have 7. So let us work only by putting the needle through the front loops only of all remaining stitches. Don't pull super tight at this point. Just keep that needle coming through the front loops of the remaining stitches in that circle. So this one's my 3rd. Here is my 4th, my 5th, and my 6th. And once you've done this, what you will do is you're going to pull in a clockwise direction. It will close that gap at the top there. You want to keep it as flat as possible, and then have your needle come through the center, come out anywhere you like, where there is flesh pink colored yarn, of course, and then pull it until you've got a flat top here. And if you've got any little bumps poking around, just kind of push them in until it becomes flat. So there we go. We've got a flat head right now at the top here. And then can you see how the stitches are going in this sort of crisscross? This one comes over this one underneath in a diagonal. I'm going to follow the one that comes on top in that diagonal. So I'm going to come from here to here. So I'm going to have my needle come through and then push out somewhere else. And that way it just gives that seamless finish. You won't even see that little line going over the top there because it just follows the direction of the stitch anyway. So we're going to do that maybe 3 or 4 times. That's my 2nd time. Don't pull too tight as well. You just want it to lay on top like that. Here's the 4th one. I'm going to come out anywhere. Boom. Grab me a pair of scissors. Cut the excess. And push in that little yarn tail to finish it. And there you go. We have just completed our mystery body right here. It looks amazing. So we need to later on add a little bit of the pink plus the star, but let us get onto the hair right now. For the hair, you're going to need some light gray colored yarn. So let us make this now. We'll start with a magic ring. So here is my magic ring. Then from this point, I am going to be making 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. We did start the body off exactly like this, so hopefully it will be a little bit familiar for you. That's why I'm going a little bit faster as well. So here's number 5 stitch. This is the 6th stitch. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Feel free to pause the video if I'm a little bit too fast, and then unpause it when you're up to what I'm up to at the same time. Grab this yarn tail here and give it a tug. Close that magic ring, and from here go inside your very first stitch, and this time you can finish exactly with a slip stitch and chain one. I'm going to recommend that for everyone because you won't even see that slip stitch anyway. Have the yarn tail on over the hook as you make that slip stitch, just to secure that yarn tail in place. There we go, chain one. We are up to the second round now, and for the second round we have done this as well. Have that yarn tail just come on top for a few of these stitches. You're going to be making a total of 6 increases. 1, that's my first increase right there. I'll still have the yarn tail on top of my hook just for maybe 1 or 2 more increases. So here's the second increase. The third, I'll just get that yarn tail on top properly. Let's do that again. Sometimes I get into the wrong thread of the yarn tail at the back here, but now we're all good. So we're making another increase like this, and I'm not going to weave in that yarn tail anymore. We can actually just chop that off. And for the next 3 we are going to be doing the same thing, increases for the next 3 stitches. So here's the second, or technically the 5th, and here is number 6. There we go. We have just made 6 increases in total right there. We're going to finish with a slip stitch and chain 1, just like that. Now for the third round, super easy. Again, we've got a single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase, and you want to repeat that a total of 6 times. So we have another 5 of those to go. Finish with a slip stitch, and we won't chain 1 at this point because then we start the hair strands. Okay everyone, so I've kind of added this insertion here in case you want to do the hair a little bit different, because obviously Mystery's hair is a little bit of this kind of bluish purple. I'm just choosing lavender as a color here. Now in the straight tutorial I've just done everything in gray, and feel free to do that. Feel free also to do everything in a different color, or a color that matches his hair. Or you could do this, which is a little bit more difficult, but not too much. And I'll show you how to do it just for 1 strand, but the principle applies for every hair strand. So you're up to the gray, you finished the gray round 3, as you can see, with a slip stitch. And now we're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 right there. And then you're going to take your purple or your lavender colored yarn, and then you will insert your hook in the second loop from the hook and take that lavender yarn and make a slip stitch into the gray, just like that. And then you're going to complete the rest of those chains. So have the hook enter into the rest of those chains down the line and pull up with your lavender colored yarn. And as you're doing that, you're going to weave any yarn tails that are left behind into those stitches, so they'll come over the hook as you work up a stitch. So you can see here I've got my single crochet stitch, another single crochet stitch, and here 1, 2, 3, 4, there should be 1 more, 5. So this is my 4th single crochet stitch with a slip stitch included as well, so technically 5 stitches altogether. And on this very last one, so every time you complete a hair strand, on the very last single crochet stitch you will change your yarn color back to gray, just like that, and then you will make a slip stitch in the next stitch space of round 3 with the gray colored yarn, but have the lavender colored yarn come over the hook as you complete that slip stitch, just like that. And then depending on how many chains you have to do, you'll do the same thing. You'll grab that purple colored yarn, it will come all the way down, then you'll make that first slip stitch in the second loop from the hook, complete those single crochet stitches down the line, change your yarn color to gray, and then come back in with that slip stitch. And you'll just keep repeating that process over and over, and that will give you some lavender slash purple and gray colored yarn, giving that mix to make it look a little bit more like his hair color. Okay, I'm going to stop now here. This is the advanced portion of this tutorial. I'm going to continue on with the easy beginner one, just using gray colored yarn. And from here, we are going to start our hair strands. So we're going to have a total of 18 hair strands, but we need to do these hair strands one at a time. So let us start with the first hair strand, and that is where we chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then in the second loop from the hook, which is right here, not this one, the second loop from the hook, we will make a slip stitch, and then the remaining 4 loops you're going to make a single crochet stitch in each. So there's our first single crochet stitch, here is our second, here is our third. Actually, there was only, hold on, we changed 6, yes, so we've got one more. Here is the 4th, sorry about that. 4th single crochet stitch, so 1 slip stitch, 4 single crochet stitches, that's a total of 5 stitches for your chain 6 hair strand. Then come into the next stitch space. So remember, for those of us who had that slip stitch in chain 1, this technically is the first hair strand where it should be, and we finished that, so we're coming in the second. There we go. Make a slip stitch right there in the next stitch of the 3rd round, and we will chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Come in the second loop from the hook, make a slip stitch, and then you should have 4 more single crochet stitches to complete down the loops of the chain. Come into the very next stitch, so we just finished right here. This is where it's very easy from there. You're just coming into the very next stitch of that 3rd round and make a slip stitch. So these two will be the very front center of our mystery character. Now we have a chain 7 to go, so let's do another chain hair strand here, but we're chaining 7, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in the same way, we'll start second loop from the hook, slip stitch, and then you'll have 5 single crochet stitches, because remember we chained 7 this time, so we'll have 5 single crochet stitches. So this is my 3rd. I'm just giving myself a little bit more yarn to work with. So the 3rd single crochet stitch, the 4th single crochet stitch, and the 5th single crochet stitch. Come into the next stitch in the 3rd round, make a slip stitch. Super easy. And from here we are going to make the next 3 hair strands chaining 8. So the next 3 hair strands we are chaining 8, slip stitch, 6 single crochet stitches down the length of the chain. So I've got it written right here, so I'll let you guys do that and we'll come back together at the end of the 3rd chain 8 hair strand. We have just finished those chain 8 hair strands, 1, 2, and this is the 3rd one, so we're coming into the next stitch of round number 3 and making a slip stitch right here. Then we will chain 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in the same way, we start with a slip stitch and then single crochet stitches down all of those loops. So 1, 2, 3, do this with me if you'd like, 4, or pause the video and come back after this, 5, the more you watch the more you help me though, 6, and here is number 7 right there. Okay, coming to the next stitch of the 3rd round, and now for the next 6 hair strands, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for the next 6 hair strands you are going to be chaining 12, slip stitch 1 in the second loop from the hook, and then you'll have 10 single crochet stitches. I've written it down here again, so remember you're chaining 12 this time for the next 6 hair strands, slip stitching in the second loop from the hook, and 10 single crochet stitches afterwards. So let's come back together after those 6, 12 chained hair strands. And we have just finished those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strands of chaining 12. And now it's super simple on the way back. It's just as we did here, so I'm not going to go through it, but you'll chain 9 for this one. Then you'll have 3 chain 8s for these 3, and then you'll finish with your chain 7, just like you had the opposite way. You had 7 3 8s and 1 9. So in this way, you'll have 1 9, 3 8s, 1 7. So I've written the pattern down the bottom here so you can follow that, and then we'll be finished the hair. We'll come back on this last hair strand together so we can make that slip stitch together. Right. I am just finishing the 7th hair strand right now, so I'm just finishing it off with these single crochet stitches down the length of my hair strand. So we've got 2 more to go, 1 and 2. So that's the last and final hair strand right there. And then what I want you to do is see this slip stitch right here. We're gonna bypass that. Come right here where we started chaining that very first hair strand, and then make a slip stitch here, and then pull the yarn through that loop on the hook, and then we'll pull it through till we get about 40/45 centimeters, and then we'll cut the yarn, and there you go. So there you are left with a length of chain that's around about 40 centimeters. And then see this middle one, we already wove this in, so we can just cut that like that. And there we have finished our hair. Now remember those 2 6 chain hair strands at the front here, these 2, they are going to come across the front center of our forehead for mystery. Now this is where I said pins are super helpful. I only have 1 pin. I'm gonna have to grab some from my local Kmart or something. But if you can do this, I would highly recommend it. It's where you pin every strand to the head first. Pin every hair strand to the head first all the way around so that you've got your bearings right. And then start sewing. So I'm gonna show you the sewing technique pretty much right now. Let's do it. Alright, so here we go. Here is our woven hair strand into our needle. I would recommend using a sewing or a leather needle at this point. Actually, a tapestry needle is more than fine as well. So I'm going to start by coming back here into one of these little stitch spaces of the round. And then see where that pin is? So let's just imagine you had your pins here. If you don't have pins, you just pull it until it's kind of stretched out a little bit here. But wherever the pin is, I'm going to have the yarn needle or my little embroidery sewing needle come through there. And then at the very base of this, I'm coming through the side of this stitch. So you can see that I'm coming through the side. I can't go back through that same stitch space because then this will just unravel. So instead I come around the other side like that, and then I'll just enter back into that same stitch space. Now this hair strand would be pinned, let's say it would be pinned like right here. So in that case, let's suppose I'm coming on the side of this one, coming into the same stitch space here, then I pull this needle out and my needle will come through there. Then I give this a little bit of a pull. And beautiful, we're just going to repeat that same thing. So come through the side here, take the pin out, come through the other side, come into the same stitch space right there. And then wherever your pin is next, so I'm just going to have my needle come through here first, just so I can get a gauge or some bearing on where this hair strand will be. Where it's usually wherever you pin it, that's where you want your needle to go, if that makes sense. So that's kind of how we're going to look over here. So we're looking good so far, and I'm just going to pin this step by step all the way around. Keep them nice and close together at the back here. And when, just one little thing, when you get to the back with these 12 hair strands, and when I say 12, I mean the chain 12 ones, see how it will come right to the tip here? You're actually going to sew right at the very base. So you can see here, what did I do? Oh, I sewed pretty much at the back here, at the very back. Okay, so scratch what I just said. You're going to sew right at the back here and just leave these a little bit flowy at the end there. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. So right at this end here, so I kind of came through these stitch spaces over here and wove it right into the back where that flesh pink kind of touches the purple. All right, so I am going to now let you guys sew the hair. You've seen the technique. Continue that technique onwards, and then we'll come back once we've finished the hair. Okay, so there we go. I have just sewed all of these hair strands on, as you can see here. And now I'm just going to work through a couple of these top stitch spaces, so like just around here, just like a little bit. Maybe like once, twice, or 3 times. So that was my second one there. Maybe just one more. Just come out here, and that just really firmly secures it in place at the end there. So there we go. We can take that pin out, we can chop this up, we can weave this back inside, and there we go. So that is Mystery's hair all complete now. As you can see, we are looking fantastic. We just have a few little embroidery sections to go, so let's do that now. Let's grab some pink colored yarn. Okay, so cut yourselves a little bit of bright pink or pink colored yarn, whatever pink you have, it's more than fine. And now we're going to start the embroidery section. So let us begin by entering anywhere. Doesn't matter where you enter at this point, but you want to come up around this section where the yellow starts. So this is going to kind of make that V. So I'm going to pull this through until I have a little bit of a yarn tail over here. And then I'm going to work this down and enter my needle at the tip of that triangle, and then come out at the other end of that yellow. So I'm going to pull this now. There we go. Then I'm going to have this come down again, so I'll enter back into the tip of that triangle. Then I want to start my little cross thing over here. So I'm going to have my needle come here. Pull this nice. Very good. It's looking fantastic at this point. I'm going to come down in a straight line all the way down here. And then I'm going to start making that little cross diamond thing, which will just go on the side over here. So you can see how I've just made that little crisscross. And then I'll come back right at the tippy top up here one more time. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I kind of want to work all the way around the neck section. I'll move that. I'm going to just come right here. And my needle will go anywhere at this point. And then the only reason why I said it goes anywhere is just because I couldn't fit it through this stitch, but that's where my ultimate aim is. I want to have this yarn come out at the same stitch space as where I entered it into. So I'm coming back in this stitch space, come out or emerge in this stitch space. This one will disappear. And then this one I'm going to tie together in a wonderful double knot. So there's my first knot. Here's the double. Make it nice and tight on that second. Cut it or just weave it in straight away. Depends how you want to do that and what you're used to as well. So I've just cut mine at the top of this knot, and now I'm going to push it inside the body with the back of my needle to completely hide it in place. And there we go. We have just finished our wonderful mystery character. Now I have 2 here. It's so good. Now if you wanted to as well, add a keychain or a yarn chain at the top of the head for keychain purposes. If you are adding a yarn chain, just make a slip stitch at the top here, chain 50, slip stitch in the same spot, and then that's your yarn chain. Cut the ends, tie them together, weave them in. If it's just a keychain, you'll just add your keychain at the top there as well. But in any case, you have your character all done. It's gorgeous. So I really hope you enjoyed that tutorial, guys, and give this a like, subscribe, and leave a comment so I can read them. I will be replying to them. And then tell me who you want to see next. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.